we didn't pray before we started?
That would be good.
God, I just thank you so much for this time, and thank you for this journey that you've taken me on and the healing that I've gotten through this. And thank you so much for the healing that my parents have gotten through this in whatever shape or form or capacity. And I just pray that whoever listens to this, that you guys also get some healing out of this and some wisdom and some direction from what God has taken me through to be able to get to this point to have this conversation with my parents. And I hope that it helps you and your family and changes the trajectory of your bloodline and your family line the same way that it has mine. And in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Okay, sweet. What's going on, guys? My name is Isaiah Peter, and today we are going to be talking about how to heal your relationship with your parents. And that's a big part of, like, this video is going to be a big part of, like, why this channel even exists. It's to help people grow in their relationship with God and just to share my experience and what God's doing in my life. And this has been such a big pivotal moment in my, internal healing just as an individual. But then this also helps within the family dynamic of our healing as, my parents in relationship with me as their son. And this probably has affected their relationship with everybody else too, and how they go about, the family dynamic that we have now. So if you guys just want to introduce yourself real quick.
Sure. My name is Moses Peter, and I'm with my wife, Justina Peter.
Hi, we've been married for 37 years, and we have 4 boys.
Golly.
Ages from 34 to 27, and 27 is my little son, Isaiah. That's our little son.
That's me.
And we're very proud to have all 4 boys. They are a joy, our world, for us.
That's affirmation. Okay. So pretty much the testimony that we do have, and I'll give you guys a little bit of backstory, but the crux of the testimony that I have is pretty much I've been in counseling for about 5 years in total, and a lot of the times I would work through a lot of root issues and limiting beliefs and just, the basic, cognitive behavioral therapist stuff and trauma therapy and all that kind of stuff. You would just kind of go to the deep roots. And throughout that whole time, they would always talk about how is your relationship with your parents? Father wounds, mother wounds, all those things. How is your relationship with your parents? And honestly, I did a lot of external work and I addressed a lot of the outside stuff and even the introspection. I done a lot of the internal work for myself, and it kind of got to the point in my journey where it was I felt like God was like, hey, it's time to confront your childhood. And I was like, oh. So that's how this actually started. So within this 4-week period, I felt like God was leading me into a space and a time, which was this 4 weeks of, he was just like, hey, it's time to confront your past, time to confront your childhood. And I was like, okay. And like I told you before, I kind of felt like this was coming, especially with all the other work that I've been doing too. It's not like I stopped, working on myself. Excuse me. A lot of the work that I've been doing, it would always go back down to what was your relationship with your parents? How did you grow up? And I would kind of answer it, and then I would go into the actual thing that I went through, and then it's just okay, cool. And that's when I was in counseling back what, maybe 4 years ago. And I've always been in some shape or form of counseling or some type of learning of how to do self-improvement, heal yourself on the inside. Through therapy work and stuff like that. And it, like I said, it kind of got to a point where I was just yeah, it's time to have this conversation with my parents. And pretty much that's kind of the backstory of it. And yeah, a lot of deep digging that kind of happened through it. And when I got to a certain point, I sat down with them separately, and in total the conversation was about 7 hours in total, when I tallied it up. It was about 7 hours. And it was such a healing conversation. It was such a powerful conversation. And it actually changed like the dynamic of our relationship. Like whether it's both mom and dad, like with Isaiah, or just separately with mom and dad. Like I saw the change from before. Like I had walls up, like around my heart, around my emotions, and I was just like, it was just like a lot of childhood stuff, and I felt like I had to like protect myself, and I had a lot of walls up. But this conversation, literally, I brought every wall down and I just laid it all out on the table. I was like, this is how I feel. And after that conversation, it was just as much healing for me as it was for you guys. And I think Dad was even like saying, he's like, I've been waiting to have this conversation with you for years. And that confirmed what I felt like God told me, where he led me into this 4-week period of confronting my childhood and even having this conversation with my parents. That just confirmed that I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm on the right track for all of this. And after we processed that, like we worked through a lot of hard things, a lot of tough conversations, and a lot of tough talking points. And I kept saying it to them. I'm like, this is going to sting a little bit, because I was very, like, they'll tell you, like, I was very honest and I was very raw. Like, even though I repeated myself a lot, like they started to see the patterns, and like I said it to its full extent. And like after we processed through all that, like, and we actually, you know, worked through it, and we put like an action plan together. And I was like, this is how you can show up for me as my mom and dad. And like, this is like what it looks like. It's like a form of it. Not as like a parent that I needed at 8 years old, but it was more of just like I was telling Mom, like I just needed like as of right now, like I just need like somebody who would be there to support me and just be present for me. And through that, it was pretty much just 3 basic foundation things, because it's not gonna, the things that we work through, it's not gonna strictly apply to you guys. It's different for everybody. Everybody has different hurts, different parents. Some people only have single parents. Like it's very different and it's very nuanced. But the 3 pillars that we had for this was being able to communicate our needs and our wants and our requests, like within a respectful way. You know, having healthier boundaries. And then also like just how to be there to support each other and be there for one another. And that is not just for them to me, that's also from me to them. Like how can I show up for them? How can I support them? And how can I just, you know, be more loving in that kind of way to them? And that kind of led to the restructuring of how we do life now. And, you know, when I have kids, like how we do life with my parents, and like they'll understand the structure that we have. And you know, this conversation right here, like I was actually planning on recording this and not even like releasing it. Like this would have just been for the Peter family. Like this wouldn't have been for anybody else. But you know, I really feel like the healing that we got through this conversation, and the healing that I got leading up to this conversation, like this is legacy. This is legacy for our family, for my future kids. This is the legacy that I'm going to leave on this earth. And I believe that this movement that we're doing, like revival, starts at home. Like revival is family. And the Bible verse where it says, what is it called? As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Like that's not just for married people with kids. Like I took that verse to heart, and you know, I took that verse and I applied it to my life, and I was like, and this is the fruit of it. Like we've had incredible healing within our family and within our dynamic. Like our family dynamic and our relationship with each other is like night and day. There was points where my dad would just be like, we don't know what's going on. Like you gotta like let us know. And I had walls up. And then after this conversation, all the walls came down, and even Dad was just kind of like, it's nice that you're talking again, and that you're telling me things again, and like you're telling me how your day is, and like it's nice to hear that again. And I actually didn't know that I had walls up, to be honest. I just thought I was dealing with things and I was working through things, but I actually had walls up. And I was always the guy where it's like, you gotta, you know, let the walls down around your heart, this, that, and the third. And then I was just like, oh shoot, I had walls up, and then now they're down. But sometimes it takes a little bit of time and, you know, some outside perspective to be able to like to be able to see that for yourself. But this is generational. Like, this is something that, I'm going to leave for my kids, and my kids are going to watch back, and this is going to be for their kids. Like, this is generational healing. This is not just for us to experience, and this is not even for the people who watch this to experience. And like, it doesn't stop there. Like, this moves on into the generation. Like, this hurt and all the stuff that I had in me, and the stuff that was, attached onto them within that relationship, like, it's gone now. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. Like, it stopped. It's dead. We cut it off. We killed it. It stopped with us. So it's not moving on to my kids. It's not moving on to my grandkids. It's not moving on to your great grandkids or your, you know what I mean? Like, it's not moving on anymore. Like, it stops and it's dead. It's dead. Like, we killed it. Yep. We slayed that giant. So this is like a generational thing. But before we go into this, like, having the conversation with your parents, like, you as an individual that wants to have the conversation, there's got to be some work that you got to do on your end before having this conversation. It was the only reason why I was prepped to have this conversation with my parents. Like I said, the first 2 weeks was me confronting my past with the Lord and going down that lane and just confronting my past, and mentally, emotionally, and physically in my body, processing that trauma and releasing it. Like, that was work for me to do. And as I was doing that work, I was able to get to the root beliefs and like the root systems, and to be able to rip them out, and to be able to clean up house and be able to process these things out to be able to tell my parents. So there's 10 things that I have that I just kind of want to share with you as like prerequisites before you jump into trying to have this conversation with your parents. So number 1 is you got to learn your attachment style. And your attachment style is essentially the way that you move and operate within the world. And it's something that was hardwired within your childhood that starts from your relationship with your parents. So if you're trying to heal your relationship with your parents, you got to learn like where you've been wounded and why you show up in the world the way that you do. So that's going to be work on your end to educate yourself and to learn about yourself, to be able to communicate that, because there may be some things that are kind of on you to take responsibility for. Like, this is not this conversation wasn't a blame game. Like, I didn't go to my parents and say everything's your fault. I was like, no, there's work that I had to do, and I brought up the issues that I couldn't take responsibility for, or not even that I couldn't take responsibility for. It's just like, this happened, you guys didn't know. And I would say that a lot to you guys. I'm like, you guys just didn't know. Like, I didn't know until I learned all this stuff. So it's like, how do I expect you guys to know? You guys did the best that you could with what you had. Like, we all did the best that we could with what we had. And we're imperfect humans, and we're growing and we're learning, and we're here today healed. That's actually what matters. Mm-hmm. So number 2 is, like I said, you've got to dig in. You've got to do the deep digging on your past and those events of your life that form those attachment styles. Like, you got to dig in and do the work. It's uncomfortable, but if you want healing, like, peace doesn't come without a fight. Like, you got to fight for it. So you got to go into those things, and you got to, confront the uncomfortable. Number 3 is getting to the root beliefs of those attachment styles. And as you learn about attachment styles, you'll kind of get to the core, beliefs of those. Number 4 is, start processing and revisiting those memories. You don't have to do it all at once. Just do it one by one. But, going down those lanes, you'll know which ones have been repressed and suppressed, and start processing those out, like mentally, emotionally, and physically within your body. And then number 5 is assess which emotions you've suppressed in your past. So for me, for example, it was anger. And that wasn't the emotion that I got to express a lot. But as I grew older in my adult life, I started to be able to understand there's a healthy relationship with anger. Like, it's biblical. Like, even God gets angry. Like, he gave us these emotions. Like, so to be able to be like, oh, we like the good emotions, but we don't deal with anger. We don't let anger go over here. Like, you're labeling an emotion that the Lord gave you. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, be angry and not sin. It doesn't say never be angry. It says be angry. Go ahead. But don't sin. Don't act on that anger. Like, process it out with the Lord. And number 6, there comes a point where you have to kind of get out of your head and get into your body. You got to feel your emotions. You got to go to those memories, and you have to feel what you've either run away from or you've suppressed. Like, you've got to feel it, because your body keeps score. So things that you may have buried and forgotten and you don't feel them anymore, your body keeps score. Like, your body drops little pins along the way of traumatic things that have happened in your life, and wounds and hurts and abuse and neglect, and it drops little pins in your body. And whenever you get triggered, your body goes back to that state of mind. It goes back to that state of point. So if you don't go back and allow yourself, and you don't honor yourself and honor the moment at the time to process those emotions, they're just going to get stuck, and they're all going to surface up at some point. So there comes a point where you got to feel to heal. You got to feel to heal. Number 7 is, we kind of touched on it before. It's just learn how you're assessing and learn how you're contributing to those attachment styles. And I'm going to take a drink of water because my throat is getting dry, and we're not cutting this out. Water is good for the soul. Okay. Excuse me. But yes, there are some things that you will have to take responsibility for supporting and contributing to those attachment styles, whether it's being too codependent, or whether it's being too not dependent enough, where you can kind of be like a lone wolf kind of thing. Like, both are bad. They're both extremes, and you got to find a healthy middle ground. You got to learn how to be interdependent with people and not codependent with people. That's a whole nother video. And then number 8 is be honest with your experience, like how you experience those things in your life, not from your current day person, but from that person that experienced it at that age. So if you were 7 years old, be honest with how you experienced it at 7 years old. It may sound immature, but it's your 7-year-old. You're giving your inner child, that little kid inside of you, a voice that never got to speak up when he was a kid. The one who maybe did speak up, but then was silenced because he was just a kid. You're giving that kid a voice, and you're bringing healing to that inner child to be able to build a healthier foundation off of. And then number 9 is, I'd recommend writing everything out, because it's a lot easier to have someone read something and to be able to get the fullness of what you're trying to communicate out, at least whether it's written on your phone or you write it out, like whatever it is, or you type it out. It's a lot easier to get all your thoughts out on paper or on your notes app or like whatever it is, to be able to get the fullness of like what you want to communicate to your parents. Excuse me. My gosh. Oh man, got a burp. We're not cutting that out either. This is real life. But what's it called? Yeah, doing that, it really helps get all your thoughts out. So if you're someone who journals, or if you're somebody who likes to, you're a pen and paper person, it really helps. And it's also scientifically backed. To be able, when you write your thoughts, when you write what you're thinking in your head, it helps bring clarity to your mind, and it helps get your thoughts out. Like whether it's emotional, it helps bring language to your emotions and to how you've experienced your hurts in your past. So I would recommend writing out and like giving it to that person to read it, and then processing it out with that person, or that parent, that caregiver, whatever it is. Process it out with them, like what they read, and then just talk it out from there. That helped me, especially with you guys. Like, I gave you guys like a huge thing on my notes, and you guys just read it. And I literally sat there for 20 minutes at point, 20, 30 minutes, and they just read the full thing, and then we talked about it. And then I felt like I got everything out. And we were able to talk about things that they were like, well, I want to know more about this. And then it's just a lot easier to go back to and have like a guidance and a reference point. And yeah, number 10 kind of goes back to don't speak from your adult self. Like, we're not speaking from intellect or logic. Like, we're speaking from that little child inside of you that felt hurt. and you're speaking from that person, you're giving that person a voice. So that's kind of like the 10 like prerequisites that that I would recommend kind of going about and trying to figure out before you have the conversation, because it'll help you prepare, and it'll do pretty much all the legwork up until the point where you just have to communicate it to your parents, and it'll really get everything out, and it'll really help, you know, process what you're trying to communicate on a very deep level, on a very core level. So we're going to jump into some of the questions that actually, before we start, I did want to see if you guys wanted to tag anything along based on like before we jump into like the conversation that we had. Like, is there anything that like that you wanted to tag on to like what I just explained to them? Like, did that help? Like when I came to you guys with the conversations, like, did that help you guys be like, oh, he did pretty much a lot of the work. So like all we had to do was kind of do was just read it and talk about it. So what do you
absolutely
feel?
I mean,
you sort of a little closer.
Yes, especially when I was reading all the notes that you had given me, it seemed like, yes, there was repetition, and it seemed like those particular things were like the main thing that really turned you upside down, or like really shook you and really hurt you.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's not knowingly that we did it.
Yeah.
And we thought we were good parents. We thought we were taking good care of them, and we were giving them the, you know, we were giving them good, like, proper guidance, and we were teaching them the right things, and
Based on what we
exactly.
what we had learned, and
exactly.
what we've seen, and made sure that we don't repeat those mistakes with our kids. But sometimes, I guess the way we bring it out, the way we teach, the way we say it is not the right thing, and this cannot be like one size fits all. One size fits all. Because every kid is different. You know, we have 4 boys, but each one of them are different. Totally different from each other. I cannot say, hey, you look like him, or you do things like him. No, nothing. Each one of them have their own style, own way of doing things, own way of learning things, own way of understanding things and implementing them. It's amazing how they are, like each individually. So with Isaiah, I thought Isaiah was like, yes, him being the youngest one, I thought we gave him the most love. Like, they were, you know, the youngest one always gets the, we spoil them a lot. Everybody, the other 3 would say, oh, you spoil him too much. I still hear it. You spoil him too much. You're like too lenient with him. You're like too this, too that. So, but that's not true. I mean, we try to do as much as, yes, I do. As a mom, I do spoil him. But
but it's also like, it's like I said it to you guys many times. I was like, if you guys knew what you knew now, you probably would have went about this completely different. You probably would have made a lot of adjustments. Because I remember when Mom was reading it, she's like, I just didn't know.
Exactly.
Like, it just didn't know. But it's like, but the only reason why I knew where there was changes that need to be made, and why I experienced it the way I did, is because I did the research on my attachment style. It's because I did the work within therapy to dig into the roots of those things. Like, it's not all about attachment styles. It's also about like just going into therapy and digging within those wounds, and digging within those traumas, and digging within those like hurts, and just being like, okay, like, what's the pattern that I'm seeing? And then that's the only reason why I was able to bring it up to them. Like, that's what Mom was saying. Like, there was a lot of things that I repeated, but I was repeating them because it just kept linking back to that. And like, they didn't know, and I didn't know. And this is a fact too. It doesn't matter how good of a parent you are, your child's gonna be hurt in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I mean,
matter. It's life. Like we're in a fallen world. Like no one's gonna be perfect. And coming from their backgrounds, which you guys will see more. Like we'll talk about more in like videos separately. But like it is a miracle that we're even here having this conversation. Like this conversation should never have happened. Like there's people who have probably better family relationship or family dynamics, and they can't even have this conversation with their parents. So being able to have this, like this is a testimony in and of itself. Because I've even talked to friends and they're just like, dude, you have no idea what you're doing right now is like such a gift that you're getting right now. Like it's not normal. Like this is not normal. And for me, I was just like, oh, it seems normal because in my head, I'm like, if there's a problem, just address it. But for, I guess, like, you know, like the general consensus of the world, like this conversation that's happening is not normal. And being able to film this and help other people is just taking it to, you know, the stars. But yeah, just if Dad just kind of wants to tag in for like a minute or two, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Well, as a parent, as a father, many times we would I would tell Justina that, hey, she would always complain, Isaiah's not doing this, Isaiah's not doing that. But I would say to her, let him grow in his own. We just need to see what is the trigger point or something that he does. We just have to, you know, let him nurture in that area and allow him to grow. And if he's moving too far away, that's when we go ahead and put a boundary and say, this is what we need to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Again, in my all my thinking and all my beliefs, I thought that he was okay. Until he would, when he was in high school, he would come and talk to me. There are times that he did not want to talk to me. That's okay. I mean, that happens.
That's a teenager.
Yeah. but what I expected was to communicate.
Yeah.
And I did not want to go and invade their privacy. I would ask them questions, and I would think that they would have a dialogue. Sometime they would, sometime they wouldn't. So as a father, we'll talk a little bit more about it as later on. But as a father, there's only so much you can do. You know, in our minds, we have to go ahead and provide and protect, and that's our main things. That's our main goal.
Yeah, it's 20 different things.
But we also have to take time, and we also have to tell them that they're loved.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. Oh man, Mom jumped.
Yes, they're always. I mean, yes, we do have to let them know that they're loved, but from Isaiah's conversation that I had with him, he felt that whenever he did the right thing, we loved him. And when he did something wrong, we didn't love him. But that was not true. That's not what that never came into our mind at all.
That wasn't the intention. It wasn't the intention.
That's how he felt it. So sometimes we as a parent have to step up and make the kid understand, or make them understand that, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be mad. It's okay. All the emotions that you're having. And if you need time to process it and to understand it, or take your time and give him some time, but come back and talk to us. See, that I thought I was doing it, but didn't do it enough. I didn't do it enough. So we as a parent have to do that more often, and take a step ahead, or actually take a little bit more time. And and give that time to them, because I think at that time, at the moment when they're having that issue, may not be the right time to do it, but maybe give them a day or two, and then you can just say, hey, would you like to talk to me about that issue that happened yesterday or day before? And are you ready to talk to us, or is there anything that we can help you with?
Yeah.
I mean, something like that, we could do it, but just do it more. We didn't just do enough. We thought the problem is solved. I didn't see any reaction or anything. So I said, all right, you know what? He's fine. He's good. Yeah. So let it go.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it was building him. It just kept bottling
that's
it.
The thing.
It just kept bottling it. Yeah. And then one day he exploded, which was recently.
Yeah. Well, so after 20-something years.
Yes.
But it wasn't so much of an explosion. It was just more of like...
I mean...
It wasn't an explosion. No, it was just more... It was just... I just opened up my heart. Like, I just poured it all out. Yes. I was like, here's everything. Like, everything's out on the table.
Before pouring up his heart...
Yeah.
He gave us...
internalized it, yeah.
Yes. There was a lot that we were feeling. He kept himself to himself all the time. He didn't want to talk to us. He didn't involve in family gatherings. He just stayed away and distant himself, and which was kind of like, it hurt me because as a mom, I wanted him around, and every time we did things as a family, he was missing. And that also, we gave him time. Okay, maybe he just needs time. Okay, fine, that's fine. When he's ready, he'll come. And lo and behold, he did.
Yeah.
He was ready to talk about it. He came to us. And now it's totally different.
Yeah.
He's totally different person. He talks. I mean, I'm surprised to even see him talk.
Yeah.
Like before, he'd be like just by himself and sit in a place, and he'll just watch TV and just not talk. And we always like to talk, and we always ask, but he would just not respond.
Yeah. There's walls up.
So I guess...
But that touches on something. Man, this is already going so good. But that touches on something that I don't know. I don't know if I told Mom, but I told you. I told you too. It's like, especially when it comes to kids and your relationship with your kids, it's not about, because for me, something I kept saying was performance-based love, and performance-based love is like, it doesn't mean like, hey, go to the store and get me something and then I'll show you love. It's not like that dramatic. But performance-based love could just be like, hey, like, if you express this kind of emotion that we like happiness, joy, this, laughter, this, or you do this, or kindness, this, like whatever it is. If you express these things, this is what gets you good results from a kid to his parents, because the only reason why you express yourself the way you do to your parents is because you have a need, and you want to express it to your parents to be able to receive a need. But when it came to performance-based love, it's not like my parents had this thing in their head where they were like, he has to work for our love. It was never that. It was never that. It's just how society has developed, and sometimes it's you're in the throes of life. Dad's trying to work a job. He's also doing his other things. Mom's working. Like, it's not like they didn't give us attention. Like, they were still here. Like, they were physically here. They were with us. We did trips. Like, we did a lot of great stuff. Like, and what I communicated was, it wasn't so much of the physical stuff. Like, they provided food, clothes, education, all the things. They provided everything. I never had to doubt like that stuff. But the thing that I communicated was emotional availability. And it really comes back down to this one thing. It's not like they were mean or they were harsh or they were cruel. I'm not saying that. They were still there. Like, I knew that they loved me, but like, there was just something I couldn't figure out. I couldn't click inside of me. I couldn't click together. And it came down to this one thing. I needed them to be as present with me just as much in the good stuff as in the stuff that was hard. And that just shows, like, even when you're doing good, great. We're going to support you and just use that as like a rocket fuel. And we're going to boost you up even higher. And even when things aren't going your way and they're tough, we're just as much present as we are with you in those times too. And as a parent, I'm pretty sure you guys can like would attest to this with everything that I've shared with you. Being present in the good or in the hard stuff, just as much as you're being present in the good stuff, is actually what creates emotional stability with your kids. Because that's what I expressed to you guys. And as a kid, I didn't know that. But when I got older and I started to learn more about myself and I started to learn more about not just mental health, but just learning about like, evolutionary psychology and just like how humans in general, like regardless of what you believe, like how humans with their caregivers develop hardwired survival mechanisms to survive and get their needs met. And the first place that you do that is with your caregivers. So there was an emotional disconnect for me. And it's not that they did it out of intention. It's just we grew up in a time where we didn't have YouTube and we didn't have all these things to, hey, how do I, be more present with my kid? Like you didn't have that. Like you had books and stuff, and you had your parents and your past that you went off of, and you guys did the best that you could with what you had, and it could have been a lot worse, but we were able to still get to a place where I was like, hey, this is what I feel. And as a parent, for any type of parent, or even if you want kids one day, like emotional availability isn't just sitting with them in the hard times, and it isn't even just celebrating within the good times. It's being just as present as you are in the good as you are in the hard times, because that shows your kid, oh, wow, my mom and dad are still here even when it sucks, and my mom and dad are here just as much even when it's good. So you know what that hardwires into their bio makeup, and like the hardwiring of their their neurology is mom and dad will be there no matter what. And when you get down to any type of, when it comes to like parent stuff, like the wounds, and I mean, like I want to be very sensitive to that. Like there's some wounds that people have with their parents that are very, very harsh and very serious. But at least for me in my case, like when it came to like me just expressing what I felt and how I experienced things, once I got to that like that foundation and I communicated that to them, everything else that I talked about, we had a conversation about it, and literally the next day our whole relationship's changed. Literally. So just a final thought, because it seems like Dad has something stirring, and then we'll jump into the questions.
So what also happens is that when during childhood, probably around 5, 6, 7, 8.
Just hold the mic a little bit closer. There we go.
What happens is the kids watch cartoons or watch shows. If you catch them and you have to explain to them what's happening on the TV is a made up things. They're not true.
Sure, yeah.
And that type of whatever is being seen on the TV, it also goes into their head and creates an idea or creates something.
Yeah.
And with regards to anger,
yeah,
which is a good emotion to have, but you also have to watch out when kids go way beyond.
Right, yeah, you gotta have boundaries with it.
Because there's some instance where Isaiah did something that we had to correct him.
With a spanking.
No. Well,
sometimes.
It depends.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's
nothing wrong with that.
Solomon says that
don't spare your kid the rod.
Yeah.
Don't spare your kid the rod.
Because
it saved me plenty of times when I was out in the world doing some crazy stuff. I had mom and dad in the back of my head, and I was like,
I got
probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So let me not do that.
So giving time out is not the way to do it.
Sometimes.
It's more of explaining to them this is not the right way of taking out your anger. You can be angry. You can not be. You if you need time, take time, and then let's come back and talk about it.
Right. That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Which we did not do enough. We did not. There were times that Isaiah was angry. He did do things that we had to step in to stop him. So maybe at that point he may have developed this, I'm angry, they don't love me.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So I can't have this emotion. That wasn't our intention at all.
Right.
Okay, that wasn't our intention. Our intention was he's doing something that is self-destructive and he's going to hurt somebody else.
He's got to stop
So
it.
he got to stop.
Yeah.
And again, after that incident happens, you do have to go back. Sometimes we forget because this life,
the throes of life, like you got 4 kids, you got jobs, you got bills, like you got car payments, like
so
it's not like your kids are important, yes, and you're also juggling 20 different firing bowling ball pins,
and if that thing is corrected, we think it's correct, but we should go ahead and take time and explain.
It takes effort though to do that, especially like as a parent, and that's something that I've learned from being parented, and then also from learning on my own. Like, it takes effort to be emotionally available for your kids. Like, it takes a lot of effort. And I'm not, when I say effort, I don't mean physical effort. Like, I actually mean like time. Time.
Quality time.
Quality time. Like, that's literally like, it may seem like I could literally be mowing the lawn. I could be doing the laundry. I could be making food. But I promise you, the emotional, the time investment that you make in your kids' emotional health, like in their emotional life, it will literally save them from so many different like types of issues later on down the line. And it'll save them from a lot of like repair work. And it's not from like, your parents are doing a bad job. It's just as you grow up older and older, when you leave things unaddressed, they compound. Like it's a whole, like, even from a financial perspective, like when you're investing in a portfolio, there's a compounding effect when it comes to interest. Like, you can invest $100 one year, $1,000 the next year, $10,000 the next year, $20,000 $100,000 the next year, and now you're getting, and then you start to have that compound, and you're putting more investment in. Yeah, you may be making 6% on your money, but now you're making 6% on what, like a couple, like 100 and some change, and now you have compound interest on that. So it's the same way when it comes to emotions and neglecting of emotions and neglecting of not dealing with issues when you need to deal with them. Like, they'll compound, and one day they'll supernova, and you'll be like, I don't know how my kid got here. He was just such a sweet and innocent kid. I'm like, you didn't do your oil change on your car, and now your kid is grinding gears, and now he needs a new engine.
Yeah,
like, that's what happened. So it's it's that time investment, and it's that it's that availability, being just as available when they're expressing the emotions that are pleasant, and being just as present when you need to help them process these emotions. Because something that I told Mom was, it was something that popped into my head when I kept explaining it to my mom, where it was like, I just remember being in my room as a kid, dealing with these big emotions by myself, where, I grew up in the 90s. So like, go to your room is a very common thing when something happens and things get heated. But you're a 9-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid in your room crying tears, and you're dealing with big emotions that most adults don't even know how to handle. So what does your body do? It creates coping mechanisms to be able to survive as a 9-year-old. So it was doing its job. But now your parents don't know that you're doing that, and you don't even know that you're doing that. So your mind is just trying to keep you alive and trying to keep you safe and trying to get your needs met so you don't die. And then you end up growing up with these, hardwired things within your brain and how you operate within life. And then the next time something happens where an argument happens and you're 22 and you're married, or you're 25 and you're married, you're going to have an argument, and it's actually really cool. Like, there's actually a part of your brain when it gets too close to a memory bank, it actually, your cognitive structure goes back to that time in your life, and it operates from that place. So like when you hear about people talking about like, oh, that's not the adult version of you, that's that inner child, that wounded inner child that's operating and acting out. It's actually like, that's like an actual like biological like science behind it. Like, there's a part of you in your brain that has held all these emotions and these memories, and whenever you go through life and through events that are very similar to that and they get too close, it triggers that, and you're operating from that wounded 9-year-old. Now you're not operating as 25-year-old Isaiah. You're operating as 9-year-old Isaiah in his room.
Yeah, well, like for instance, the parents, remember there's for women, usually when they smell a rose or smell a scent, instead of them being in that moment, the future, during that time, it actually takes them back to a good time or some traumatic time based on that smell. And then their mind is like, what the heck is going on right now? And with guys, it could be the song that either you were driving fast, trying to run away, and that music or that song kind of gives you that comfort to make you feel from going from a bad situation to a good situation. Now you're kind of calm and not driving as fast.
Sure.
So these kind of things, what Isaiah just spoke about, is the moment that an argument or a conversation that could trigger the same time in the past that he had lived through starts coming back up. So in order to heal that, whatever Isaiah has done, is the right way of going ahead and making sure that past doesn't come back up again.
Right. And I grew up in the, thug it out, toughen up, have that grit. And there is actually a point where when you go through like emotional work and you go through processing your emotions as a man, there can come an extreme where people get to a point where they just have this emotional fragility. And they're just so like fragile with their emotions. There actually comes a point when you, as a man, there comes a point where you're like, okay, I actually know how to feel my feelings and process my emotions, and I know how to do that. And there comes a point where you're aware of that, and then there's a part of life where you actually have to be like, no, like you got to have that grit, you got to toughen up, like there is a part of life where you're just like, you got to toughen up, like this, it's part of being a man. You got to push through. You gotta go through those emotions, and you got to be able to get the job done. That's a part of what being a man is.
Right.
And we're going to jump into this parenting question right after this. I know I said it like 20 times, but we're going to do this.
Really quick, Isaiah is the fourth one. So not only he had to deal with the parents, he also had elder siblings. Three other brothers, and he had to be tough to get his voice heard. So that's another thing.
These hands work. These hands work. All right. So let's make a hard pivot into these parent questions. So these questions are going to be pretty much about like the conversation that we had. So there are 9 questions. Okay. Well, actually, there's 10 questions, but we'll get to the 10th question. But these are pretty short questions. So pretty much like I feel like we've kind of talked about it, so like we don't have to go like so in depth. But like the first question is, what were your thoughts reading what I wrote? I feel like we kind of talked about that.
Yes.
Wait.
My thoughts was, what the heck? I didn't even know this was going in his head.
God.
I was like, are you serious? This is what was going in your head?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. And I seriously, whatever he wrote or whatever happened to him was unintentional.
Yeah.
It was not meant to be. I did not even think that was happening. And I was in some of his stuff that he wrote, it just broke my heart.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm so sorry that you felt that way. I really was hurt. It kind of shook me, and it shook me for a couple of days to see my own kid go through that without me knowing it. And here we sometimes talk about other kids, and we try to help other kids and all that, and yet we didn't know that same thing was going in my own house.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was, I wished you had come to me a lot sooner. That's what I couldn't help you at this time because it's past. But in the past, if it was brought up years ago, I used to always ask, hey, how are you doing? How are things? If I don't get any kind of response back, my dialogue, if the dialogue is only one side, it's called monologue, right? So I was doing more monologue, not dialogue.
Yeah.
So if I don't hear anything, I don't know how to fix it.
And that's the thing, though. There's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, cut you off. Did you finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a... but when it comes to points like that, and I can literally speak to this. So, like, I'm hearing my dad's perspective and his thoughts, and then I'm literally telling you what was happening on the inside of me. So, like, this is not like a theory kind of thing. Like, he's literally telling you what was going on inside of him. I'm telling you what's going on inside of me. So, from my perspective, it was like I got to a point in life where like I was telling you guys, I was like, I just felt like I didn't feel like that emotional availability was there, and that didn't start that point. Like whenever, like especially if you're a parent and you feel like your kid just out of nowhere just started being distant, they did not just start being distant.
It has been happening slowly.
Yeah, say that in the mic, Mom.
It has been happening.
Yeah,
drip by drip, slowly. Yeah. Drop by drop, they've been accumulating it in there, and then suddenly, one day, it just comes out.
One day it didn't come out.
I mean, one day
they close up.
They
close up. You have to go over a 20-foot concrete wall.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right. One day they totally block us.
Yeah, and it's gradual. And I'm saying this from a kid's perspective. So if one day your kid grows up and you're like, he was just such this sweet guy, and he was just such a sweet, lovable, patient, kind guy, and he was just so relaxed. And then when he got older, he just shut me out. It's like, no. The reason why he probably was like that was because he was just trying to get his needs met, and he knew what got mom and dad's attention. So that's why it's being just as present in the good stuff as it is in the hard emotions. Because if you show your kid that that the parent can handle both of the tensions or both of the both of the weights of the emotions, their kid's gonna be like, okay, even if I'm pissed, I can go to mom and dad. Even if I'm like super happy, I can go to mom and dad. So it's like that's what stability is. It's being able to handle the heavy emotions just as much as you can handle the good emotions. So that's when your kid feels safe to be like, even when go to mom and dad, like they're gonna be there for me, and it doesn't really matter. So I don't know if you have anything else to say, Dad.
Well, so if you are a younger child, you're also getting feedback from your elder siblings. And what they're going to do to you is, ooh, you made that, you did that. Yeah. Mom and dad are going to be so mad at you.
Right.
But
it's so true.
It's so true. And what happens now is that already you're so hurt that you're so afraid about what has happened Now, to make the matter worse, your siblings are pointing finger at you, and that's even worse.
That makes it worse.
And so, as a parent, you have to let the elders know that, hey, that's not your responsibility.
That's good.
You need to help your brother out.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
many times I used to tell them, hey, one day mom and dad are not going to be here, but you four have to bond together. You have to look after each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how often you need to say that. You have to keep saying it.
Yeah. I feel like I have questions 2 and 3, and I'll say them, and I feel like we kind of already touched on them, but like, were you surprised by how much I remembered?
Very much so.
See, you guys saying no, like,
Oh my God, yes, very much so. I couldn't even believe that. Even I didn't remember that had happened.
Kids remember
But
things.
Yeah, I
Kids
was
remember
shocked.
things.
I was like, it's an elephant's memory or something.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. So yes, they do remember everything, every single thing.
Yeah.
Should I say they remember every single bad things that happens to them?
Well,
or should I say
they
good
remember
things?
they remember the very
Traumatic.
traumatic
thing.
Yeah,
that
because remember, like I said, like when as an adult, you're processing it from an adult's perspective. So you're just like, oh, why are you bugging out? Like I just like this is the thing that's happening. But remember, as like a young kid, like kids are they're very sponge like, but kids are also like a clean slate. So they're coming at things from a very pure state. Yes, I know that we're all born in sin nature, so don't come at us, all right? But also too, like kids have this purity and this innocence to them, where when they receive one form of communication that's pleasant, and then they're immediately mixed with something that's hurtful, they're like, I'm confused, I don't know what's happening. And when you're confused and you don't know what's happening, you're gonna try to, your mind's gonna be like, I gotta protect myself.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Where's my safety blanket?
and in fact, it's like the parent is not actually, it's not an issue. Like the issue is that, yes, obviously how they're handling it, but like their parent's not safe. But as a kid, your mind is like going into fight or flight mode. Like it's going into safety mode, trying to protect itself from more hurt. So when you go through one traumatic thing, your body puts in survival mechanisms to protect you from those things again, when in fact, like, that was never the issue. But as a kid, you can't like bash them for that. Oh, this is so good. Okay.
So I expected him to remember some of those things, but I don't remember those traumatic times. What I remember is there are times that Isaiah had gone through some issues, and we had gotten call from the school. Isaiah had done this, that, and in actuality, it wasn't even Isaiah's fault. It was some other kid, and their parents were on the schools and in principal's office.
I don't even remember that.
Doing all kinds of complaint, and then it's like we couldn't go ahead and figure out what really happened, because Isaiah, we don't teach Isaiah to be that way.
Yeah.
Meaning be mean or pick fights and things. We never taught him that. And we know that he would not start something. He would not hurt. Again, there are situations where sometimes it's the teacher, sometimes the kids in school, they would make something small very big, and that puts a trauma in kids' mind.
Yeah.
Well, so you also have to be, vigilant of that as a parent.
That's a whole. You see, like that's why I put the disclaimer at the beginning of this video, because that could be a whole nother video in and of itself. Like taking your kids from like raising them here,
from home,
and then putting them into an external, school environment where they're dealing with people. You're essentially like you're sending your little kid out there. Personally, I would love to homeschool, but you're sending your kid out there into a school, teaching them how to like excuse me, you're teaching them how to operate within the world as a kid with full grown adults.
Strange
And
adults,
they're
not
strangers.
yeah.
And like other kids who are
Kids,
influenced
yeah.
by their parents, and like, I'm not doing that. But
Next.
but yeah, next. Number 3 is, did you know how much I was carrying?
Nope.
I didn't even know how much I was carrying, which is no.
Nope,
Right?
I did not.
I mean, that's a pretty short one. I feel like we
Yeah, I
kind of
did
talked
not.
about that.
What do you mean by caring? Carrying.
He was
load?
carrying so
Yeah.
much
So
of
much pain?
hurt
Yeah.
and pain in his.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that because he never showed it and didn't.
Yeah. When you
He didn't
get,
seem like it.
when you get to a certain point and you know what works to get you what you want, even though it's like, you know that later on in life, you know that it's like self-abandonment or like just doing the right things to get what you need or what you want, like it forces you to put parts of your side of self. That's why actually in counseling therapeutic work, I put up an Instagram post about it. It's called parts work. There's actually parts of yourself that you abandon, and like there's parts of you that you suppress to get what you need. So, but that's a whole different thing right there. But
So
what's up?
for me, I wasn't aware that you were carrying that much.
Yeah, I mean, how would you know?
The reason was that at every stage of your life, you're going through teen.
Mm-hmm.
I did see changes in you.
Sure.
You're maturing, which was really great.
Yeah.
But as soon as you hit like 20s, that's when things were very different.
Mm-hmm.
You did do things that I asked you to do. You did mention to me that I had asked you before going to college or wanting not to go to college. I asked you to go ahead and read as much book as possible, especially philosophy and all the other things. I expected you to read them because I wanted you to
Still have them.
to be able to function.
Yep.
Okay, you're not going to college, fine. You don't need to go to college, but
at least be educated.
show me that you have some intellect that you can use to grow, to do things,
to operate within the world,
yeah.
to just have wits.
Because,
like I was very entrepreneurial growing up, so it's like I learned the business side of things, and this was all like without schooling. So it was like we just need to know that you know what you learn things and that you have a lot of knowledge about things. So I mean, I get that for sure. But is that all you had to say to me?
So the only thing that I failed to do was I should have picked some of those books and said, hey, these are good books to go and read. Instead, I let him choose. The reason is I wanted these guys to be independent. Number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, I did not want to break their spirit. I wanted to guide their spirit in the right direction, point them in the right direction, so that they are going to be, independent, self-thinking, and doing things. And now I find out there's another dimension to it. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So there's 2 questions, 4 and 5. I feel like we kind of talked about them, so I'll just kind of like breeze through them. But pretty much the questions were, what was it like hearing me speak so openly? I feel like we kind of talked about that. And then what was the hardest part for you? I feel like we kind of talked about that too. Mom kind of touched on that too. And then number 6 is, do you wish anything had gone differently in our family, like knowing what you know now? I feel like that's actually part of number 10, so we'll kind of go over that one. That'll be for number 10, because number 10 is pretty much the same question, but it leaves more open space for it.
Well, number five for me,
you didn't answer it?
I was expecting him to come and talk to me much earlier, not wait this long.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him because every time I would start a conversation, remember the monologue, it was me trying to open him up.
But sorry to cut you off. But if I would have done it then, I would have not been able to get to the conclusion. Like, the only reason why I was able to keep the conversation so short and concise was because I did the work. Like I was saying in the beginning, I did the work in the beginning to be able to bring you the things. Because we could have brought like the events that happen, but that doesn't get to the roots. Like, we can solve the surface layer stuff,
okay.
But then if we don't get to the roots, it's like the root system is still there, and then all the weeds still grow up. You know what I mean? So, or it'll just regrow back just in a different event, and then it just keeps happening. So I'm actually glad that. Well, I mean, I'm not glad that things happen to me, but
that you dug in.
But I dug in. Yeah, I dug in and I got to the roots. And that's why we can think about things or even talk about things, and it's not like the past is at rest.
Yeah.
Like we're working off of like solid ground now.
So when you did talk about this, I like I said to you, I have been waiting for this conversation. I really meant it, and I'm glad that you had done that, because we always told all four of you that you are a precious gift from God. I don't know how many times you have heard that.
I remember the word precious.
Huh?
Yes, I remember the word precious. That's in my subconscious.
And
excuse me.
We wanted to make sure that you knew that you are a gift from God. That was one of the things that, since you guys were little, we wanted to instill that in you.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. So that was number 6. Ooh, I like this one. And this is speaking from, like, you're speaking to little Isaiah, not me right now. If little Isaiah were here, what would you say to him? Like, having the conversation that we've had now and knowing what you know now. If you saw the little Isaiah, the little 8-year-old Isaiah, like, what would you say to him? Doesn't have to be something long, but just like, what would you say to him?
What kind of emotion that you are showing?
Well, it's just like it's like you know everything that's happening inside of that little 8-year-old Isaiah, and with like I literally told you everything that was happening inside of him. So like, how would you?
How old are you talking about? 8 years, 6?
Yeah, like 8, 9 years old. You know, just that
8,
young
9
age.
years old.
Like, what would you say to him, knowing everything that you know now that I communicated to you?
So I would have taken you. I mean, we did go out for movies and things, and what I would have done at that point is, Isaiah, I know we had watched this movie Eagle.
Yeah, sure.
And
Frank Pepe's Pizza.
Yeah, and we would talk. I would have explained a little bit more about whatever the movie was, whatever the theme was, and explained to you that it's okay to have good emotions and bad emotions. It's all right. It's fine. But you have to be careful how you act out those emotions.
That's good, yeah.
Especially the anger. Anger can lead you to do wrong things, and you don't want to do that.
It's true.
And same thing with good emotion. You can think that everything is going great, and you can hurt yourself by not putting boundary.
That's so
okay. Good. So you have
that's
now.
Good.
How do I put the boundary for you? Would be, you're excited. That's great. We celebrate whatever your success, whatever you have done. That's
here are
great.
The parameters we operate in. Yeah, it's good.
Make sure that you do not go and sick it to some other kid who did not feel the same way, or the other kid. You don't go and boast about it to the other kid.
Yeah.
That is not good. That is really bad. That you're putting that kid in a different. You're hurting the kid in a different way.
Don't rub it in his face.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he's saying. Don't rub it in his face.
So, so the anger part is it could be self-destructive.
Yeah,
or
it could be.
It could be hurting somebody else.
Yeah.
That's not what it should be. You're angry at something. You're not angry at a person. You're angry at a situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The situation is the one that caused you to bring that bad emotion out.
Sure.
Bad things do happen.
Yeah.
People do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you can go ahead and do harm them.
Yeah.
Harm the person. You want to go ahead and be angry at the situation or the action. Yeah. You can tell that person, you know, whatever you have done was not nice.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
That's really good too. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but that's really good because as he was saying it, that's like base emotional basics 101, like teaching your kids. But it's kind of crazy how as you grow up as an adult, you do that same thing, you just do it in a more socially acceptable way. So you can be a kid having a tantrum or being angry at somebody, trying to hurt somebody in a very immature way, and you can actually grow up learning how to do that in a very sneaky way. But that's why it's so important to teach your kids how to healthily process these emotions, because if you don't teach them how to do it at the child level, it's gonna, number one, stop there, and then number two, they're gonna grow up and figure out more sneaky ways to do it that are gonna be very, very hurtful to other people. So what do you have to say about that, Mom? If you were if little Isaiah were here and you know everything you know now, and he was sitting here, like, what would you say to him?
Sure what I would say.
I thought she was about to cry or something. She's like, I don't know. This is real life, guys. Like, this is not a staged podcast. Well, like, we have questions and stuff, but this is real life. So,
well, one of the things I think you would do is just hug him and
yeah, I think
I would. Yes, I would be more. Yeah, I mean, yes, I would give him lots of hugs and lots of kisses, and would always tell him that it's okay. It's okay. Whatever you're going through, it's okay. And that's being a human. And when you feel right about it, when you want to talk about it, I'm here. I'm always here for you.
That's my mommy.
That's what I will say.
That's my mommy. Okay, number 8. Was this conversation something you were waiting for too? Yeah, okay. I think yes. I think we kind of explained that one.
Yes.
But
I already answered.
You already answered that one.
Yes, we were.
I think this one's actually geared towards you guys. How did this relationship how did this conversation bring healing to your heart? Because I remember a dad said something where he's like, just as much as this is healing you, this is healing me. So, like, how did this bring healing for you guys? Like, not for us as our relationship, and not even for you guys as, you know, like a married couple, like as individuals. Like, how did that
between mom and dad?
No, just as the dad, and just as mom. So, like, how did that bring healing to you?
For me, I got my Isaiah back. That is very, very comforting. That is very satisfying. That is making me feel proud that he has matured. And this, I am sorry that he had to go through all of this to get to this stage. Sorry, genuinely, because I wasn't part of it while he was going through. Emotionally, physically, I was there. Talking wise, we talked, but it used to be very small conversations. Instead of deep, thinking, sitting down and going through each things, whatever he was feeling. I am right now. I am very happy that Isaiah is back, and not the little Isaiah. The true Isaiah is back.
The full Isaiah.
Full Isaiah.
Because one thing I'll say before Mom answers is, I love that. Would I say love? I would just say it. What thoughts sparked in my head when he said that is, when you're going through inner child work and you're an adult and you're flip-flopping and operating between both of them, you're living a disintegrated life. So that means before this, like pre-conversation, little Isaiah was stuck in the past and adult Isaiah was stuck here. Or adult Isaiah was living here. So adult Isaiah is progressing forward, but the distance is just getting bigger and bigger. And he's still stuck here. So as time went on, and as we had this conversation, like that freed little Isaiah. That healed him. That made him feel fully seen, fully known, fully heard, fully loved, fully accepted, fully validated. And that freed him and released him from the past to stand with me in the present. So I'm not living a disintegrated life anymore where part of me is stuck in the past hurting and part of me is stuck in the future going through things. In the future, yes. I mean, in the present, I will be going through things. It's part of life. But being present and going through things in life and going through things as a kid, you're getting hit with a double whammy. Because now you're getting hurt here and you're reliving this at the same time. So now I'm living an integrated life where little Isaiah is walking hand in hand with me and the past is put to rest. So that's just something I kind of want to tag in there for you. That's a little golden nugget. So what about you, Mom? How did this relationship bring healing to your heart?
Just lost the thought. I had it.
Oh gosh.
Well, when I was reading your letter through the text,
Yeah.
all that thing, oh my God, I was like, is this my little Isaiah? He knows so much about life that even I don't know. So much about people, feelings, and the way things are felt and taken as or understood. I was like, I have no idea what this is talking about. He's talking about. Where is he coming from? And then he says, Mom, you know that I've been going for therapy. And that's on. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's where you got all this thing from. And I'm like, I wish I had studied more about, like, deep about understanding kids' feelings and helping them. And I wish I had put a little bit more time on that, and which would have helped you more. And now your conversation with me is, Isaiah, didn't help me heal. It also helped me to understand the other three boys, your brothers. Like you, I was like, I was under the impression that I know what I'm doing with the other.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, it made me understand that it's like, no, Justina, you don't know it. So now it makes me think, okay, take a step back, and you need to treat each of them differently because they're not the same, and to understand them differently too. Like how I understand you now, right? I have to go and make each folders for each three boys now. So each one of them different.
You gotta make
each
them own
one's,
bins, yeah.
Each person's or each kid's needs are also different.
Yeah. Everybody's needs, yeah. We all have different needs.
Now Lucas, Kirk, and Nathaniel's needs are different. So I cannot say, okay, what I did for Isaiah is going to be the same as for them too. So you basically taught me a lot. And in the meantime, healed me too.
Mm.
Because I lost my Isaiah and I was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do? What did I do that I lost my son? Because I don't see his happiness. I don't see his joy. He's keeping himself distant from us. So it's like, what am I doing wrong? And then, in a way, you also told me, it's like, Mom, there are times when you want something done from me, right? There's a way to say it. So that I also understood. Okay,
That's a mom and
Now I
son
got it.
conversation.
Okay.
That's like a different. Yeah.
Now I got it. So now I know how to say it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just assume things and then say, I said so. That's why you got to do it.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
and you
for
explained it to me. It's like, Mom, if you had said it this way, I would have done it. And then there was a time when you were very tired and you said that, Mom, you asked me to go ahead and do that. And I just told you, it's like, Mom, I'm very tired. You did not acknowledge what I just said.
Mm.
You just were stuck on what you wanted to get things done.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of learning and a lot of healing.
Mm.
Which
Yeah.
I learned from you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so let me just say something.
Uh-oh.
So here, if you are just starting your family and your
That's the
kids,
next question. No. Okay. Let me just say the question because it'll just segue perfectly. Okay. Now that we've had this conversation and we've processed so much together and we've worked through so much, we worked through a lot of the issues and we worked through a lot of relational dynamics and we worked through a lot of hurts and wounds and traumas and negative ways of experiencing life and emotional turmoil and all this stuff and distance. Now that we've worked through all that and knowing what you know now, knowing what you know now, what are some things you wish you would have known back then? Lessons about parenting, communication, emotional health, that could help others who are raising kids today.
well, what I knew at that time while you guys were little is it's very important to have dinner together. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
The reason for that is during dinner time is when you talk about your day. You start with a small conversation. And a lot of times with that type of conversation, what will happen is the emotion, if there is emotional issue, that would come up, that would pop up. Each of the child will go ahead and talk about it. And then mom and dad listen. And then if there is something that is not right, we correct. As a parent, we correct and we redirect the kid. If it has to do with the anger, we kind of explain that's okay. So the more you do that, at least 3 times a week, family dinner is very important.
This is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least 3.
That's good.
If you do more, that is even better.
Yeah.
Sundays, if you have whatever belief system that you have, you need to spend time explaining to the children why faith is important. And what we used to do, we were grown Catholic, and we used to go to mass, and the homily is the teaching of gospel, and then the explaining relating to this present day, whatever that happens to be. And I would ask these guys questions. So what did you learn? What did you hear about it? I expected them to, pay attention to homily.
Sure.
I didn't care about all the rituals and things. I was more interested in gospel reading and what was the message in the gospel.
What did the Lord tell you? What did the Lord tell you?
A lot of times they would talk about it. A lot of times they just brush me off. So,
or I would sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I would say this. So you said family meals.
Yep.
You're obviously like talking about like biblical biblical values, principles, teachings, and like learning about that, not like reciting it out of like, you know, it just like, it's like what you learn, like what you get from it. It doesn't have, there's no right or wrong answer, like what you learn from it. And then as a father, you would be able to kind of guide and like edify. Like it's not so much of like, it is correction, but it could just be like, hey, like I would look at it this way, and just kind of like teaching them, oh, dad taught me how to look at it this way, and this is how I operate in the world. So family dinners, you know, speaking out about the Bible. Also a thing that I think would be really cool that sparked in my head was like one thing I would love to do with my kids one day is like, how'd your day go? What emotions did you feel today? Was there any crazy emotions that you felt today? And they would be like, well, you know, like I'm imagining in my head, like, I kind of felt really sad today. Why? And then you, like, it's not so much of like, let's process this. It's not like that. It's just you're talking with your kids, and you're in action. You're teaching them how to work through their emotions. So that could be a cool parenting tip, especially if you have like a busy life and you're like, I gotta make food for the kids, we gotta get all of them ready, this, that, and third. If they all eat at the same time, they all get ready at the same time,
right?
You know what I mean? So that could be cool. But I would say even a more focused question would be
hold on.
About okay.
So Isaiah had just came out with one thing, right?
Yeah.
Asking your child.
Yeah.
What I would suggest also is your tone will make a big difference. You have to have a nice, soft tone when you're asking question, right? You cannot go ahead and ask as if you're asking an adult.
So
it has to be child.
It's so good.
Okay. So
I love that.
If you do that, the child will open up even more. It depends on their age, and you have to adjust your tone to their age.
Age appropriate. Yeah, age appropriate stuff. I literally have that written down in my notes, and we didn't even get to that section yet. So that's kind of cool. I literally have it written down in the...
You started the...
in the well, no, like, I didn't even know he was going to say that. But, like, I didn't know you were going to say, like, the tone part.
Okay.
Like, I was just talking about that. I was like, well, that just kind of blew my mind. But like, what are all right, so let's say you're either, let's say we'll do first people who have kids. Oh no, we kind of did talk about that you have kids. What if you're someone who wants to have kids and like is like, you know, they want to have kids one day, and they're just like, you know what, like, what are some really good parenting tips? They don't have to be so in depth, but like, what are some parenting tips that after 37 years and 4 kids, I think you guys learned a thing or two. So like, what are some parenting tips, like kind of like tying all this together? Like, what are some parenting tips that you would have for people who want to have kids? What would you teach them? Like, hey, like, I know that you want kids, but like, this is something that I would think about.
Now, wanting kids, it's good that you want to have kids.
I agree.
It comes with a very big responsibility. It's a whole, what should I say? It's not only just a kid. It's a kid who's going to become a future of our country. So are you ready for that? Are you ready for that responsibility? You need to give all the basics, yes.
Yeah.
Can you afford that? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you got to look at that too. You don't want to bring 10 kids in this world and you cannot afford it.
Yeah, it's practical.
So
it's good.
Be practical about it. Can you afford it? Yes.
Can you hold the mic a little closer?
And
there we go.
You need to make sure that teach them the right values.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, biblical values.
Biblical values. And which starts right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're singing the songs for them, you're putting,
Bible verses,
songs, yeah, or singing songs or whatever it is.
Home decor.
If you create that environment at home right from the beginning, that's what kids growing with.
That's Proverbs 31.
You know. Yeah.
Like a wife is the maker of her home. I think that's Proverbs 31. I could be butchering that, but that's really good. That's great.
So
I would
hold on for a second. as a man, as a father,
Okay.
you need to prepare yourself
That's good.
and
I almost skipped over
make
this.
make sure that when your wife says, "Honey, I'm pregnant,"
Oh,
you make sure that you are happy. You're in that state of mind, and you also help her when she says that. You have to. The child, yeah, she is bearing the child, but you are also responsible for taking care of your wife, making sure that she is happy. If the wife is happy during her pregnancy, the child is going to be when child comes out, it's going to be in a very different state of mind. What we have experienced with 4 boys, each one had different personality due to the state of mind Justina was in. Our oldest one was our firstborn, who everybody was excited in the house. It was first child in a long time. And everybody, and Justina was very happy. She was in America and then Kirk time, there were some issues and whatnot. Then Nathaniel time, there was something else going on. And then Isaiah's time, she used to read a lot of books.
yeah.
And that quality do pass on to the child when she is pregnant. So men, make sure that you take care of them and make sure that you cater to their needs to a certain point. You don't want to go overboard, but there are things that you can do to prepare for the child who's going to come in your life. And you have to be very happy about it to show genuine happiness. All right, you don't go ahead and get drunk. I'm happy, I'm drunk. No, that doesn't work that way. You need to be together and share the time. Always be concerned, always do things that is gonna cause a nicer house for your newcomer.
So pretty much what you literally just explained is epigenetics. That's exactly what you explained. Epigenetics is like the current state of the mother. Like, oh, it's not specifically this, but like in this context, it's like what you were saying is creating the environment for your wife to be able to her environment and the way that impacts her during her pregnancy is gonna literally pass down into the genes into the child. That's epigenetics. And that's actually incredibly crucial. And I was actually just learning about that. It's like, if I was literally learning about this is a little bonus thing. I was learning that if a father and the mother are in a specific type of physical shape during like the impregnation, that kid's going to take on the genes of that person. And then let's say if the parents for the next kid, they're out of shape and the woman gets impregnated, like that child is going to get those out of shape genes. So it's so like, I like learning about the science behind it and like all that stuff, the biology behind it. 'Cause like, it's crazy because how important that is. And it's not like like you were saying, it's not like a tend to like the every single need. And like, it's not like that. Like you're literally not just creating the environment for your wife. You're literally, you're influencing the DNA of your child before it's even born by tending to the environment as a man.
So imagine about Adam and Eve with Cain.
I mean, they forget that.
So both of them were disobeyed God, right?
Yeah.
Disobeyed, and their child, the first child, Cain, was also.
Yeah. I would have to read into how that affects that. I don't know so much about that, but like for this context, I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah. One thing we forgot to talk about was after we had those conversations before we got into the parenting tips was we didn't just have the conversation like that. I told Mom this. That's 50% of the battle. Like the next part of the healing. Yes, the conversation was so healing. Yeah. But you still got to do work after. And doing work after, we had an action plan put in place. It wasn't so rigid, but I remember texting mom, like, just like a super rigid thing, like, this is how you can show up for me as my mom or my dad, as like a parent. Like, this is how you can show. I think I texted it to you too. Like, this is how you can show up for me. And it's not like coming from a needy place. Like, if you want to be married and if you want to be in a relationship, like healthy friendships and healthy, like, you know, romantic relationships and healthy marriages, you got to learn how to communicate your needs. Mm-hmm. It's not being needy. It's being human. Everybody has needs. And I promise you, and you guys can attest to this because you've been married for 37 years, if you don't communicate your needs, someone's going to get pissed. Someone's going to get frustrated, and there's going to be a blowout argument. And they're going to be like, why are you acting like this? Like this? Well, because you didn't do this for me, so you didn't tell me. Well, it's literally communication. So communicating those needs, there's three things that I'll say before you chime in. We had an action plan put in place. Like, we learned how to, my mom kind of touched on it earlier, our communication skills as a family went up. Like, I've seen it change, and it's not even like a rigid thing that we put in place. Like, we have it written on the wall. It's like, no, it's just kind of like what we talked about and what we expressed. It formed like this new way of living together, this new family dynamic, and that's communication skills. And through those communication skills, we learned how to communicate our needs, our wants, and our requests. That's huge. And then we also establish healthier boundaries with each other. And through that, that's like the framework that we have. And we also have our nuances as a family because, you know, our situation is different than everybody else's. And your situation is going to be different. Like, it's all case by case. So having those frameworks and putting an action plan in place moving forward is what's going to keep the family healthy and not falling into toxic patterns, not falling into old ways of, you know, thinking. And because I'm first generation and they come from India, that there's a lot of immigrant traditions and mindsets and ways of living that aren't the healthiest, but they're just kind of in the family culture, and it's kind of expected to keep the family, like, you know, at peace. You're not trying to ruffle any feathers. But when you learn healthier ways of living and healthier ways of relationships with your kids, with your parents, that's gonna piss some people off because that's gonna go against their whole way of living that they grew up on. And it doesn't mean that everyth's bad. There are good things. Like, we have strong family values. Like, our family, we have strong family values. We don't run. Like, we work through issues. We work through things. It doesn't mean that we don't take space or we don't take time, but we work through things. From what I know, divorce is not huge with us in our culture and in our family. It's like, yeah, you may have a tough marriage, but you don't just quit. When you get married, you make a commitment and you commit. But those are the things that we've learned through creating that action plan and those steps. Is we've learned healthier boundaries that create a healthier dynamic that makes life more fun and more enjoyable. Like, I remember after I had the conversation with my mom, I was driving home talking on the phone with one of my friends, and I saw like a flower shop, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get my mom a flower. And then I was like, nah, let me that. And then I went home and I was like, I'm gonna go get my mom a flower. And then I did some like little, you know, like little fishing. I was like, so mom, if you just for information, if you had a favorite flower, like, you know, what would it be? You know, I'm not gonna do anything with the information, just asking. She's like, well, pink roses. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I went and bought her a bouquet of pink roses. Yeah. It's like, but that was not from a place of obligation. You know, some people.
Very sweet, actually. That was very sweet of him, and I was so happy. I was like, oh, my Isaiah is back.
Yeah, you know how like some people do things out of like, that's your mom, you should get her that, and you're like, all right, my mom. Oh, yeah. But I was just like, no, let me do something nice for my mom, and I just went and got her some flowers, and then it was Mother's Day.
Well,
so, it was Mother's Day later. That was just a normal day. It was like it wasn't a planned day. It was just a thing. But creating those. But having those pillars and having the action plan, that's what we're trying to get at. It's like, you're seeing like how it affected how we do life together now. It's so different. It's not the same anymore. It's like, it's not out of obligation. It's not out of stress. There's no more walls up. We understand. We all feel seen. We all feel heard. We understand. We got our needs met, and that creates a healthier family dynamic and relationship with each other. And we're gonna go back into the parenting tips after this because I feel like there's more. But I'll let Dad talk real quick.
So when the action plan, what Isaiah is talking about is wants, needs, and what was the third one? Requests. There are right way of asking.
Right.
The choice of words should be correct. The tone is another one. And make sure that you don't use always.
Yes.
There's
don't
never
generalize
always.
Things. Don't always generalize things.
Because that is going to trigger something else, and that you don't want to go that route.
Yeah.
So just be gentle. Gentleness is very important, regardless of what the situation. You get up in the morning and you did whatever you need to. Fathers, I'm talking to fathers, and now that you're about to go to the bathroom, and the bathroom, you have to be on the line and take number.
That sounds like this morning, huh?
Well, not this morning. It's just, I'm just saying.
In general, I'm just
there are
pulling your leg.
There are times that you have to be patient. There are times that you have to put your foot down and say, "Hey,
I gotta leave. I gotta go to work." It's not anything super crazy. I have to go to work.
Right. So. It has to be understanding. So anything in the morning can trigger, and that can cause the whole day to be, one thing after another. So in the morning time, if you're in peace, try to keep peace in the house as much as you can.
Huge, yeah.
That's going to be huge for rest of the day.
Literally
for all of them. So be conscientious of that.
Yeah.
That is one of the communications, and you have to be
skills,
soft. You cannot be in the morning. You cannot be very dramatic. No dramas. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
It's okay to have your headphones in and you just want to kind of have some space to wake up, and it doesn't need to be like you wake up in the morning say hi, don't ignore them, but if someone has their headphones in the morning, don't try to talk to them and then get frustrated because they're not listening. It's like, I don't know what you just said, but I have my headphones in. So it's give people space, give people time, grace. Give people grace. People are people. It doesn't matter if they're your mom, your dad, your son, your kid. It doesn't matter. Just let people wake up in the morning. We're giving you real life. That's communication, though.
Yeah,
that is a big communication thing. But that's a whole nother video. I feel like we can make a whole nother video just on those three things. So if you're watching this video, there's gonna be sections of this where we're gonna make deep dives onto this. Sometimes it's just gonna be me saying my things. If you guys like seeing my parents on this, we will have them back on. And but since I have my parents on, we will take advantage of this 37 years of marriage, and we will get all of the wisdom that we can get because they know a thing or two. So we're going to go back to the parenting tips. So if you were to give someone who has kids right now, if you were to give them 5 tips, 5 from dad, from a father's perspective, 5 from mom, from a mother's perspective. If you were to give them 5 life lessons when it comes to raising kids, knowing what you know now, don't go super deep into it. Just try to think of concise statements if you were bullet pointing them. What would those 5 things be? And we can start with dad because head of the household is the father.
Okay, so it will depend on the age group, right?
Okay.
Preteen, they're learning about a lot of things. So you have to be very, very cautious of the use of tone, right? And also, a lot of times you can go ahead and command. They will go ahead and do, right? But there are times if it's a girl, I don't have any girls, but what I hear from my sister and my other siblings, they are very different. They need to be treated very differently than guys. The guys you can command and they will go ahead and do things.
There's tact to that though.
Yeah, with girls, it's different. So now that's preteen. The way you would talk to them is very different. You have to be stern. You cannot let them go out of the boundaries that you set.
That's good. That's good.
You have to stick with it. You cannot be lenient just because your daughter, says, "Dad, please," and then you give in. That's not good, because what's going to happen is they're going to use that later on to manipulate you. You don't want to be manipulated. All right.
Okay.
So that's preteen.
Okay, and then
for teens, the situation is different. You have given them a little bit more boundary, but that boundary comes with responsibility. They have to be responsible in order to be able to use whatever you are allowing them to use. It could be your car, it could be your credit card, but they have to be strict, and they cannot go ahead and break that. If
Boundaries.
they break it,
boundaries,
that boundary, they go out, there's consequences.
Okay.
And that consequences you have to stick with. You cannot be very lenient. And then after teen,
It's adult,
the adulthood, the dynamic is going to be very different. By now, hopefully you already had a conversation that we're having with Isaiah, or Isaiah, what he had said. It was you were developing a good communication with your kids at every stage of their lives.
Hold the mic closer.
So that now it's going to be very different. You have to treat them as adult, and you cannot think that they're kids anymore.
We talked about that.
You cannot think of them as kids. You have to treat them as adult. Yeah. And you have to let them go. You cannot hold on to them.
Yeah.
You have to let them go.
So number one is like tone. That's what I was getting, tone. So like what will be a one tip for the moms out there, the women out there who want to have kids one day? What's one tip that you would give them? What's tip number one? Or people not want to have people who have kids, like mamas out there. Like what's one tip where you were like, you know what? Knowing what I know now, this would have changed everything. This would have been so much better.
I think
hold the mic up a little bit.
As far as mom's concerned, like me, well, definitely we have to cook good.
Hey,
and make good food.
We like that.
Second is to be a very good listener. You have to listen more than talk.
That's good.
And when you're listening, you got to listen with your eyes.
Oh.
Not being distracted. You look into their eyes, that's when they know that you're giving them 100% of your attention. So give them undivided attention. That's what they want.
Oh. What's number two for the we'll go back and forth. So for number two, what's tip number two for dads?
Be there for them. Be there for them when they
presence.
For instance, it's preteen. If they're interested in something, make sure that you know what they're interested in. Learn. If you don't know about the subject, learn so that you know how to go ahead and navigate and help them navigate through that. For instance, if they like music, make sure that you know what kind of music they like, what kind of instrument they want to, if they want to play. and be there and be supportive as much as you can. For teens, whatever they're bringing in, make sure that whatever they're learning
This is live, so I'm checking the camera.
are as much truthful as possible, because there are going to be a lot of things that they're going to be picking up from either friends or the teacher, and they might be going astray. You need to bring them back into the fold. With adults, be there whenever they call you and ask for advice. Listen first before you even say a word. Listen.
Okay. So, presence. Number 2, Mom, for the moms out there. You kind of gave them a bonus one. You were like, you better learn how to cook, and you better be a good listener. So what would number 3 be? Especially for moms who have kids.
Make a beautiful house into a home, a safe haven.
That's good.
Where kids would want to come and bring their friends and be safe.
That's good. We'll speed this up a little bit, so we got to make these a little more concise.
Third would be protect inside, outside. Inside the house as well as outside the house. Meaning, make sure you know where your kids are going. They are honest with you when they say they're going to be at certain place. They are. Yeah. They're not telling you one thing and doing something different. It is very important. It doesn't matter if it's a preteen, teen. With adult, you don't have to worry about. As long as if they go outside of the country, at least they tell you that, hey, Dad, Mom, we're in this place, and we check in every once in a while. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So protection. One thing I also do want to add on to protection. I know I'm not a father yet, but one thing I could say from a kid's perspective, and being a child to a father, protection's it's not just physical; it's also emotional and mental. And that comes down to being present, but also, like I said, creating that healthy family environment, so that, your kids don't just feel physically safe, but they also feel emotionally safe. Like when they express certain emotions, that they're not met with like unhealthy ways of being treated by expressing those things. So emotional safety, mental safety, and sometimes it's not intentional things that parents do, but like I said, certain ways of being grown up in cultural things, they can create very unhealthy family dynamics, and that can come off as a little toxic sometimes. So just as much as you are physically protecting them, it's also being like mentally and emotionally protecting them, because a lot of adults, I know for me, like I'm a guy, so it's like I didn't feel physically unsafe at home, but at points I did feel emotionally and mentally unsafe. So it was like having that thing, and I expressed that to them too, so it's not like I'm just throwing a curveball at them, but that's something that that I just want to kind of throw in there too. So if you're a parent who has kids, like I would say, obviously, yes, please keep it physically safe, but and also like mentally and emotionally is incredibly huge factors. So yeah, what's tip number 3, Mom?
Teach your kids to respect and to earn respect. If you learn how to give respect, you will earn it too. You will be respected.
That's good. That's good. Okay, what's number 4 for the men?
Number 4.
So you have tone, presence, protect.
What can I say? Enjoy the time that you're with them. Show that they are precious do things that will tell them they are precious. A lot of times what happens is if a father feels financially stressed, wrong things will come out of your mouth. You have to be very, very cautious of what you say. Because there could be your daughter or your son could come up and say, hey, Dad, can I have whatever? And then instead of saying, sure, you can wait, or you can direct in such a way that you pray about it. You're bringing in prayer into your life, and then we go ahead after the prayer. We will see what will happen, and this way you're bringing in their God into your life, and you're showing them how important it is to be submitted to God.
Okay, so enjoy the time you have with them. And what's number 4 for you, Mom? Another tip. It could be about anything. It could be about, like, obviously moms who have kids, like, what are, like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could
be like, supportive.
Like, yeah, you could be supportive. Yeah,
be supportive.
Be supportive of your kids.
Yep.
What's number 5 for you, Dad?
Surprise them with things. Like, it doesn't have to be that they have achieved something. You just go ahead, take them out and say, let's go for ice cream, right?
That's good. Go ahead.
I'll tell you or let's go out and go to a beach, or do something that kind of gives them the idea of being part of a family, or being wanting to spend time with the parents, with the father, with the mother.
That's good.
Because a lot of times even though you may have had a tough time at work, how do you decompress? The best thing is to be with the family, take them out, and do something exciting. It doesn't have to be ice cream. It could be just going out and walking at the beach.
Yeah.
That is going to build a bond. Then they will also understand that you can have stress working, but there are ways to decompress and get the stress out. And that is by activity.
Yeah. So pretty much what you just said right there is unconditional love. Yeah. Like, surprise them. Like, don't like it's unconditional love. Like, don't. It's like you said. You just don't. You don't even take them out because they did something. Just so why you take me out? Because I love you. That puts into that kid's subconscious brain. So this is what love is like. So this is what love is like, and it's not a very common thing. Yeah, people know the concept, but to actually live it and experience it from like another human, it's very sparse within the world. So yeah, unconditional love. Last one, Mom. Number 5.
Oh dear.
No pressure, just the last one. No pressure.
I'm fried. It's fried.
I took all the answers.
I know.
Took all the answers. Well, it could be anything. Like
actually, you know what? Teach your family that. Teach your kids the family is very important.
Yeah.
To no matter what happens in your life, family will always be there for each other. And when they have any issues, family is the one who's going to take care of you. And I think it's very important to put that in their mind that to know that no matter what, they'll always be there.
Well, all right then. Look at that. Well, did I remember to record? Oh, we didn't record. We gotta start all over again. I'm kidding. I kid. But yeah, guys. So we're gonna end the video here because it's 12:45 a.m. and we gotta go to sleep because I have to leave tomorrow. Mom has to go to work. Dad has to go to work, and I did not know it was gonna be this late. And we don't have enough time to film the second video because we don't have enough space on the hard drive. So we're gonna have to do this some other time. But if you like this video, if it helped you, if you learned something from it, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And there will be plenty more videos where I'll do a deep dive into this. And this is for my future kids, for their future grandkids, for my future grandkids, and for their future great grandkids. And this is for the Peter family. When we die, we're still here. When we die, when we're dead in the grave, you're gonna have this footage to look back on, and this is legacy. This is a small part of the legacy, but we did our best to try to put something together for you guys. But this is where our spiritual lineage. Like, this is our family lineage. This is our, like, these are the questions that I asked my grandparents and my parents. And this is just like the starting of it. This is where we come from. Like, we're the Peters. We love Jesus. We love life. We love people. We forgive and we apologize often, and we do hard but healthy things.
We're the rock.
Peter, the rock. And that's who we are. So, future family, if you're watching this and we're dead, sorry, I can't give you a hug. But like I said, this will also be released on YouTube. But I also do want you guys to know, like, this is something that's not just for YouTube. Like, this is going to go for our family. And the future generations who will never meet us. So if you do meet us, we'll see you in heaven. But yeah, that's all we got. Love you guys.
Love you.
Peace.